What's up, guys? So today I'm sharing another trade that I did, more specifically because I traded for some silver. So what did I trade? The Benchmade Bugout. Love the knife, did a review on it, but I had someone, actually I had a bunch of people who were interested in trading for it. One particular person just really wanted it, couldn't have availability to it where they were, and they offered me some silver. I was a little hesitant because even though you guys know I absolutely love silver, I was more looking to maybe sell the knife or just trade it for more knives to do reviews on. But I was convinced. He offered me a little bit more silver value than the knife's value, so I just jumped on it. I know he's gonna be very happy with the knife, so I'm gonna be shipping it out today. But I wanna go over some of the silver here in case you've never seen it before. So this is all just new stuff for the silver collection. This particular person happens to melt silver for jewelry, which is really interesting. In fact, that's what a lot of this here is for. These are tiny little like commemorative pieces, presidential commemorative pieces. Let me grab a few of these. There's 69 different ones. And of course they just feature a president. So these are all sterling silver, all right, which is 925 or 0.925, so it's 92% plus of silver, as opposed to most of this, which is 90% silver. This is all pre-64 US currency. Some of these I haven't had before, which is really cool to put in the collection. First I got some Barbour Dimes. There's two of them here. If you haven't seen a Barbour Dime before, that's what they look like. Very cool. Then I got some Mercury Dimes. There are 20 of these. All right. I don't believe, if I had Mercury Dimes, I didn't have a bunch of them in the collection. Then of course some Roosevelt Dimes, which I've had tons of. There's 12 of these. All right, these are all pre-64. All right. You guys are used to these, just not old ones in your change. Then I got a Barbour quarter, which I've never had before. So this one's a new one for the collection, which is very cool. Very heavily worn. Also something new to the collection is some standing quarters. These are the standing Liberty quarters. Okay, there's a few of them here. Let me grab these since I'm going in and out of focus. Very cool to add to the collection. Some, the dates are missing because it's just so worn, but some aren't. This one's 1928. So yeah, this is pretty cool for the old silver collection since I didn't have any of those. Then there's 7 of these Washington quarters, which again, probably more common for people collecting silver. All right, so these are all pre-64 Washington quarters. This is what we still have in our currency, just not this old, and unfortunately, no longer silver. Another one that I don't think I had any of, and now I have 2 of, is Walking Liberty half dollars. Okay, so these are the 50-cent pieces. These are very cool. And notice, you know, all this silver is super polished, so I'm not sure if he does polishing first. These both happen to be 1942. But yeah, I mean, just awesome, you know, finish on all of them. None of them are really like dirty or anything. Some obviously more worn than others. And then lastly here, 2 Franklin halves. I happen to have some Franklin halves, but I think they're really neat, so I don't mind some more. And then lastly, of course, again, all of this sterling presidential you know, commemorative pieces. So total there's 69 of these. Each one of those weighs 0.05 troy ounces. All right, so as far as like value here, we all know this knife sells for about $135 brand new, right? Mine's used. Rough estimates, and this is right now, depending on when you're watching, obviously the price of silver goes up and down all the time, but right this second it's at $14.98. That's its trading price. So this is roughly in the ballpark of about $150 or so worth of melt value. All right, so this person also sent me a knife which they want to see if I could fix. I said, absolutely. I'm gonna be sending this back to you anyway, so regardless of whether I can fix it or not, I'll go ahead and try, and I'll put it in the package with the bug out. So this is not functioning properly. It's not opening up all the way. This is an assisted Kershaw. This one's called the Lifter. It's a model 1302. And obviously that's assisted. It's supposed to go all the way open. Now what it kind of feels like, it kind of just feels dirty. I'm gonna clean this up. I'm not sure if the torsion bar inside is damaged or broken or whatever, but also he couldn't get the blade to center. So I'm gonna go ahead and right now try to fix this. So I'll be right back and let you know what happened with it. All right, so about 25 minutes later, I got this to smoothly open, which is good news. The pivot was pretty dirty, pretty gunked up, so I cleaned all that out. re-lubricated everything, used some BRS, the Hyper Oil, which works very well. The issue though is this is a $20 knife. All right, so this is one of the reasons people ask all the time, hey, why do you spend so much money on knives? Why would you get a knife for $100 or $200 or $500? Well, as you start climbing up the ladder of these price brackets for knives, you start getting, more and more features, basically, and also just the quality overall, fit and finish. A little thing like blade centering, which it's not rubbing or anything, but clearly it's off to one side. You can still see there is play in the blade. When the blade and a knife is open, there's a tiny bit of up and down play, and that's probably contributing to the fact that it's just the quality of the knife. I don't think that it was used too hard. Sometimes you can generate up and down play if you really use a knife hard, but I don't think that's the case here. I just think that, when you're buying a $20 knife, these are just expectations you can't have. It's unfortunate, but it's just one of those things. I play with the pivot I did the cleaning and the lubing in probably 5 minutes. It was more 20 minutes or so, just kind of playing with this pivot here. Also, there's on the back part of the pivot screw there, it just freely spins. All right, so I have to kind of use some pressure to tighten and loosen that. It's just, again, one of those things that a cheap knife lacks is maybe precision as far as fine tuning or adjusting it. For $20, it's a very cool knife. All right, but at least now it opens. So yes, opens very nice with the flipper. All right, so the torsion bar inside is totally fine. It was just pretty dirty and gunked up. Same thing, there's ambidextrous thumb studs on here. Those will also open the knife. He also wanted to know about sharpening this type of blade. So I actually get this question quite often. When you have some funky different grinds and stuff on blades, how do you sharpen that? Well, my best advice is to treat it like two separate edges. So treat it like you have a flat edge here, which is very easy to sharpen on a flat stone, right? And then treat from here back as a completely separate edge, which is just a curved edge or hawkbill style blade, okay? If you treat these individually, it makes it a little bit easier to comprehend how to sharpen them. Now, the best thing would be some kind of a rod system, okay? So let's say you had, some sharpening rods. You would do some passes. I'd probably start here, pretending this is the heel of the blade, and then just work my way down, okay? Both sides, so just sharpening this flat side first. Then focus on just this as a separate edge. So start here on the heel, work your way down, okay, both sides. That would be the best thing, is some kind of a rod system. Spyderco Sharpmaker, Lansky has a crock stick set, which is very affordable, which I think is great. But if you happen to have, let's say, a flat stone, use this Benchmade box as an example. So here's your sharpening stone, a flat stone, right? You would treat the flat edge as one, separate edge. Make sure you do both sides, right? Now, as far as sharpening this curved part, you would use the corner of the stone. So let's say this is the top, this is the side. I'm calling this the corner. It's not actually the corner, but I don't know, the edge. I don't know what you'd call that. But you would use that, okay, because it comes to an edge, it's a little bit thinner. It works very similar to a tapered stone, and you would use that, just focusing on the curved part, and make sure you do both sides. Now, some people bring it, they drag it towards them. Some people drag it away. It doesn't really matter, honestly. I've done so many different methods on flat stones. It all works. If you step back and, because it seems complicated, but if you really step back and look at the whole thing, all you're doing is you're taking a piece of metal, right, and you're sanding away a little bit of that metal to recreate an edge. That's all it is, right? The edge of your knife is just, a triangle, let's just say, a very acute triangle. Okay, so as you use your knife, the tip gets really dull and stuff. All you want to do is sand away this metal to recreate that very pointy triangle. That's all it is. It's really simple. You're just sanding away metal. But, the one mistake a lot of people do when sharpening, any kind of sharpening, is use too aggressive of a stone. What happens is you sand away too much, too fast. You never get that really sharp edge. Yeah, you might have a usable edge, but you start wearing away the blades. And in fact, if you look at a lot of really old knives, especially fixed blades, especially hunting knives, things that people are using constantly, the blades are like half there because they sharpened it too aggressively too often, and it literally just it sanded the whole blade away. It's not necessary. Very little metal is being taken off. If nothing else, you're doing kind of fine polishing as opposed to sanding, if that makes sense. But hopefully that was just a little tidbit for people who are maybe new to sharpening. Obviously, there's plenty of people who know how to sharpen knives very well, but this particular blade style, kind of recurve Tanto is kind of common. You see this on a lot of different knife models, and it does seem a little complicated. Like, well, how do I do with the flat stone? And then I turn, what do I, just treat it like two different blades. That's it. Flat edge, hawkbill blade, and then obviously focusing on the point. This is the hardest thing when you're sharpening a knife like this, is keeping this point a separate point. Oftentimes, like I said, if you use any kind of sharpening method, if you're dragging this along and then continuing, what you're doing is you're rounding off that point, and it's not really a big deal. Okay, you could do that and it's totally functional. In fact, it'll be easier to sharpen every time you do that if you slowly round off this corner, but what you're doing is changing the shape of the blade. So it might or might not be something you want to do, but it's really not a big deal if you do happen to do that. You know, it's just preference. So thank you so much. Really appreciate the trade. I love adding silver to the collection when I can. I've had some financial blows lately, just normal car maintenance stuff, you know. That's what happens. Cars break, you got to fix them. Part of life, not a big deal. But I haven't had like extra throw at silver and gold. That's something, if I happen to have all the bills paid for the month and, you know, all the extras, and I have gas and food money and all that stuff, then I look into maybe buying a new knife for review, or maybe adding a little silver or gold to the collection. That kind of thing pops in my head, you know, but it hasn't happened in a while, so it's nice to be able to trade. So I really do appreciate the trade, and I know you're gonna love this knife. So thanks for watching, guys. If you happen to be into the precious metals stuff, let me know down below what your recent acquisition has been. Have you gotten more silver? Have you focused on gold more? I find that happens just kind of like with knives. Sometimes people will focus on folders, and then maybe they get into a little fixed blade kick, and they start looking for fixed blades. I find the same thing happens with silver and gold. People go back and forth. It's all about gold, then it's, I'll take a break from that. I don't have much money, let me focus on silver, because it's a lot cheaper. Silver, again, as I mentioned, as of the filming this video, is below $15 an ounce, $14.98 per troy ounce, and that is an awesome price. Personally, if I had the extra money, I'd be buying, but in this case, I'm trading. So that's all. Let me know if you got some new precious metals. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you tomorrow with another video. Take care.